Welcome to the Flex Forward podcast, where grit meets growth. With your host, Nic Espanet, bringing you stories of resilience, reinvention, and the real climb to success.
All right, everyone. Welcome to the Flex Forward podcast. Today, we're joined by Christine Grogan. She is a healthcare executive. She also has a nonprofit, Brave Coalition. Christine, can you kind of give our listeners a little more detail about what it is you do in both those settings?
Sure. Hi. Thank you for having me, Nick. Brave Coalition is a nonprofit I started about 13 years ago with Dr. Alan Gabriel, and we found that there were so many women diagnosed with breast cancer, but they didn't know that their health rights were under the Women's Healthcare Cancer Right Act, 1998, that they could actually have the right to breast reconstruction. So as we've done more and more work, we've been doing a lot of partnership with Northwestern University, Dr. Takoya Williams and Dr. Galliano, and found it's even more significant where there's health disparities. So Black women really don't have it's not the knowledge, it's just they don't have the access many times to the knowledge to get breast reconstruction. So we really went from all comers to people of health disparities to really focus on that subset. So that's sort of my side job, if you will. And then I run right now, currently I'm running a company's division, a clinical division around health, reducing infections in the hospital. So catheter-associated urinary tract infections, which can cost the hospital a lot of money, central line, and any health-acquired infections in the hospital, which is a very costly thing. So maybe not the most sexy job, but it's the most important job to keep infections down. And hopefully you haven't heard of my product in the hospital, because that would mean you needed it for something. So
that's fun. So I worked in a hospital for almost 10 years as a physical therapist. So we know the whole infection.
Oh, yeah.
That's over almost 20 years ago. So I'm sure there's been tremendous changes since then, but I know that
probably worked with the wound vac, Nick. The wound vac.
Yes, I did. I was over wound care for the therapy department. So I for maybe 4 or 5 years, put hundreds of wound vacs on, if not thousands on.
That was my job prior to this one, where I ran the marketing team for KCI, but it was acquired by 3M and it's spun off since. So
okay,
great products though. You know all about them.
Yes, that's neat. And one, I know even then, focus on preventing those idiopathic or hospital-acquired infections, just because you get so many people. It's a challenge because you have so many people close that are sick, and you're going from one building that has one kind of patient level, and then another, just and having a gown up and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, and these patients are so susceptible, whether it's the cancer oncology patients because they're going through chemo, but diabetic patients with diabetes, if they get a surgical site infection, it's really a hardship because their wounds are already hard to close. So if they're having surgery, it's hard to close, and it costs the hospital money if they represent to the hospital within a certain time frame. So
if I remember correctly, they may have to pay back some of their original. I know it's
CMS.
Very
absolutely.
So
you're spot on, Nick. The CMS comes in, and if there's certain penalties outside the norm, they will ratchet down accordingly, percentage wise, to what they get reimbursed.
Well, I love hearing about the Brave Coalition. That's awesome that you're serving women in general, but then women that have a greater need in that. So you've been successful at your W-2 or your business, so to be able to help on that charity side too, or the nonprofit. So with all the competition with what you do, being sales and medical sales, I remember when I was in school that if you're going into sales, you wanted to get in some type of medical sales. All the salespeople that were in that, but what has helped you with all that competition? What do you feel set you apart from maybe some of the others that helped you achieve?
That's a good question. And I think number one, you have to have a good product, as you know, as you've worked in wound care. We had a great product. So I think that's part of it. But I really enjoy helping a lot of younger people get into, like you said, medical device. I have a couple interns I work with now. And I've worked with many at KCI because you want to start young to try to get into the field because it's very difficult, like you said, competitively. And I was lucky. I got into it. My interest was to go to med school and become a physician. And I had a neuroscience undergrad. So that kind of helped me get into the,
Sure.
because I have a science background. But once you're in, you have to just, I have a 10-year-old, and one time we were digging a hole for a rose bush when she was very little. And it was Texas, the lime and the rock to do that is very difficult. And I was like, I give up. And she goes, Mom, you can never give up. And it's a simple little story, but she and I say it to each other all the time. Now she's 10 and I'm significantly older than I was when she was 3. And you just never give up. Even if you have a bad day, you go to your car, if you're a sales rep and you maybe a customer gave you a hard time. Well, that customer is taking care of a patient that might be on Medicaid, might have no foot, maybe amputation. So you can't take it personal, and you can never give up, and you have to keep trying, and you have to rule number 1 is integrity. So I was the golden rule, treating everyone well in healthcare, but integrity, unfortunately in healthcare, Nick, there's been a lot of recent arrests in my space of wound care. You have to do it the right way, whether it's the reimbursement, billing, CMS, like we just chatted about, or being on the industry side. You'll have to do the right thing when no one's looking.
Yeah, and that's the definition of integrity. Having that integrity, do it because it could be tempting for some people because you're like, oh, it's so big, or this. But you said something about what your daughter said. You never give up, or when challenges come along, it's kind of the fail forward that I think a lot of successful people, because everything's not always going to go according to plan. So it's being able to adapt, and it comes back. I've talked to some of the people. Thomas Edison failed, I think, 10,000 times inventing the filament that goes in a light bulb. So just having that, or that resilience. That's what our podcast is about here, to pick yourself up, dust yourself off when you get knocked down, and keep moving forward. So what a great connection you have with your daughter. Like, she's going to face challenges in school or life and whatnot, and you have that little saying that you can always kind of pat her on the back, or just say, hey, don't give up. That's awesome. So
it's true though, and nothing's easy. Like, people can make things look easy if anyone's watching this and they look around and say, oh, that person must have it that easy. I guarantee there's stories like this, Nick. I mean, I didn't have money for college. The reason I didn't go to med school is I didn't have good enough MCAT scores because I was waitressing and working in a hospital as a ward clerk. No excuses, right? I didn't pull the right grade. So I said, I'll be a drug rep and go back and be a doctor. Well, it didn't happen that way. So then, I ended up with Pfizer, ended up in New York City, had the best time working in a great company in New York City. And then just my life evolved this way, but it hasn't been always easy. There's been, tough. Corporate America is not easy. There's a lot I could say about that, being a female executive in corporate America, not just being a female, because men have it hard too. So it's not easy. You're going to fail. I hate to say it. You're going to fail. And what do you define failure? It's not really failure, right? And it's
a learning opportunity. Yeah.
Right. You're going to have
I've heard it said, things happen for you, not to you. And if you think of it that way, if you're a victim and think, oh, this happened to me, I can't do it. Or if you say, hey, this happened for me, how am I going to grow from it? What can I take from this situation?
That's really nice, Nick. That's a really nice thing to say, because at the time you do feel like a victim. I mean, I was laid off before when 3M bought KCI. I had a 2-year non-compete, and I did feel like a victim. And then I had to turn my thinking, because it's business. They didn't do anything wrong. They did what they had to do. So, yeah. And anyone that doesn't think it's going to get hard, it'll get hard. And those are the tools in your toolbox when it gets hard, are the ones you got to pull out, like you just said.
And it's going to make you better. You're going to grow from those situations. And if you don't, it's unfortunate when people don't grow from those situations, because if you take those bumps and bruises from those learning experience and don't do something more with it or grow, you've kind of wasted the beating, for lack of a better term, or the lesson that those school of hard knocks sometimes can be the best school you go through in those situations.
And then you dust yourself off and get back up,
For
because
sure.
you can't wallow in it forever, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, you're going to be stuck there. Yeah, definitely.
Even your friends are going to listen to it for a little bit, but you got to move on. So.
Yeah, and that's having good support, or good peers that will say, "Hey, all right, you've suffered, not suffered, you've pouted, for lack of a better word, long enough. It's time to get up, dust yourself off, and start moving forward," kind of thing. So, Christina, if someone's listening to us and wants to get better at being a salesperson, or just having a positive attitude, is there anything that you would suggest they do? Maybe a podcast or a book or something that you've done that might help them?
I just went to this live meeting with some positive speakers, and I was really impressed with David Goggins, the Navy SEAL. Oh, it was a good book. It was great for me, but I forget. It was the first one he wrote. There's two.
You Can't Hurt Me. Was that the first one?
I think so. And it talks about one chapter I really liked is, if you're not liking what you're doing, or you don't like your boss or whatever, what you do, you keep getting better, because what else can you do than get better? And that mental toughness that he has. And he talked about never give up. The guy went through Navy SEAL training 3 or 4 times.
I think 3 times. And didn't he go from 280 pounds? He lost a massive amount of weight. Maybe 60 or 70 pounds to qualify. And
yeah, I read his book, and I need to go back and reread it, because the mental fortitude that gentleman has, it made me feel like I felt like a slacker when I read it. Actually, I'm like, I better get myself.
He is definitely way up there. Like the one, I don't know if it was a 100-mile run or some really long run. He went out with, I think, basketball, not running shoes, and like a thing of crackers or Ritz crackers and milk or something.
And I've run marathons, and so I could relate a lot to. I used to live in New York City, and I ran a lot of marathons. And when he was so ill prepared.
But he pushed himself through it. I mean, he has the mental toughness to get through it. I've heard him speak at one that, or maybe it's Jesse Itzler, but one of those guys that he just says, I don't get tired. I don't get tired. They just have this mental toughness. It was another Navy SEAL, Chad something. I can't think of his last name.
Oh, I think I know who you're talking about, but yeah.
Big beard and long hair. Yep. But his motto is, I don't get tired. Or he says, he told Jesse Itzler, Jesse doesn't get tired. Just keep telling yourself, Jesse doesn't get tired. And he goes, I did it, and I made this run that I didn't think I could do, but I got my head. I mean, some people, I think that comes more natural. Some it may have to be more learned, but I think you can do it to get through those tough, challenging moments in life.
It's all mind. It's a game. It's a game with your mind, and your mind. I think I mentioned my degrees in neuroscience undergrad, but there are some really good books, not just his, but on neuroplasticity and rewiring your brain. If you've been through trauma or any kind of very stressful situation, I've had some pretty significant family tragedies in my lifetime. And you do sometimes need to rewire your brain. And there's that amygdala, the fight or flight, and there's things like that. You can't constantly be in that, because then your body's in overdrive. So
you're on that stress level all the time. It's like you're being chased by the tiger all the time.
Yes.
And you don't ever get to the safe spot up in the tree or in your cave, whatever, your home, and you got to shut that stuff down and let your body recover and kind of replenish and good stuff.
The mental part, I don't think we could underscore enough, Nick. You could probably have 5,000 podcasts on mental toughness. The mental health area has blossomed since COVID. I think people need each other. I think sitting in your home all the time, try to get out and see people, because sometimes I notice, even if you're just in your home all day, just on these things, go out, talk to somebody, go talk to a neighbor.
Well, well said. And I think it's something I would encourage people to do. If you go to a coffee shop, don't take your phone or your laptop and look at it. Go in there without a device, get a cup of coffee, and try to talk to someone, or even on a plane or an elevator. That's something I've tried to do on elevators, instead of, looking at my phone, answering texts or emails. Say hello to somebody, and it almost disarms people. It shocks people. Some people sometimes now, if you just say, "Hey, how's your day going?"
They don't know.
you never know what that can do, but it I think shocks people. They're like, oh, I got to talk to somebody in this 30-second elevator ride that I have.
They're so used to this, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
And it might help them too when you think about it. So it's
No,
not just you helping yourself, it's probably helping someone else too.
for sure. You never know what a smile and a hello maybe just lifts somebody a little bit or gets them out of a negative loop that they might be in.
Yeah.
Awesome. How about what is one of the biggest challenges or hurdles that you've had to overcome in your career or your path to where you are now?
Oh my goodness, that's a good one. Ugh. I think I've worked for some great companies, Pfizer, Allergan, and now recently KCI. I think just continue to try to learn, read the room, really read the room, and not always have to be the smartest person in the room. I know that sounds, because if you always want to be the one answering it, or it's just listen. And sometimes we want to talk. And I listened to a book the other day that just said, just stop, just listen. And so that is a challenge, because someone like an extrovert, I want to like fill that space.
I'm married to one of those, so that's always
Yes, it's exhausting. I feel for you. So I didn't come to this podcast knowing what you would ask, but that's a challenging one. But I think reading the room and just listening more sounds easy, but sometimes it's not.
well, and it's you said that not being the smartest one in the room. I think it's you hear that you want to be you become the average of the people you're around. But if you're in a room, you want to be in a room that's going to lift you up. You want to lift
Right.
others up. You don't want to just always
Sure.
be a parasite, but getting in a room with smarter people so you can grow, and surrounding yourself with smarter people that help stretch you, and maybe you can stretch them in different areas. Kind of like having a CPA. We've got to have accounting done for our business, and I have maybe 1% knowledge, but I want to hire a very smart accountant and visit with them on those facts and learn some. I don't need to know it all, because that's what we're hiring them, but they're going to help me be a better business owner by knowing some of the maybe tax benefits or something, or different things like that. But being around those smarter people that really lift you up, just like you're talking about David Coggins talking. Coggins.
Yep.
Am I saying it right? Yeah.
I don't know how to say it, but he knows who we're talking about.
Yeah.
He
So
hears
that
it.
hearing that guy that's going to he pushed you to think of a different higher level or higher plane. So getting yourself in the room with people that maybe make you uncomfortable and force you to be a little better.
And they might be different. That's one other thing you just made me think of. Like, if you want to surround yourself with a bunch of extroverts, or that, when you do the DISC profile, DISC, you really want to in corporate, make sure you're around people that are not all I's or D's or C's, So that's another key learning for working in corporate. And just like you said, align yourself with good people. That's really important. People that are positive, people that want to do the right thing, people that aren't necessarily about themselves. They want to give other people the credit. That good teamwork is another huge thing in corporate America. You really want to have a good team and not try to take the credit yourself.
Awesome. Great stuff. So it sounds like things are going well for you. As you have had more and more success and think about the future, do you consider like other, people start thinking about different ways to maybe supplement their income or replace it through passive income? Have you ever considered any kind of, or what are your thoughts on passive income that people may pursue?
One thing my husband and I were just listening to, there's a lot of passive income opportunities in real estate. And, we've flipped many homes because I've lived in so many states, but that's a whole nother side thing. Like, I encourage people to start looking at real estate, because as baby boomers and people continue to go through this housing market, a lot of people are going to need homes, and they're going to have to fix up homes that are like from the 70s and 80s. And so there's a big housing market. But the other passive for me would be my next journey as I would leave corporate America, probably in about 10 years or so, probably just helping others pay it forward, and, maybe coaching on the side, but just trying to continue to have people pay it forward. And that's one thing I'm really big on with some of the 20-year-olds I helped now are very successful in their 30s. And I still call them. There's one gentleman named Duran. I call and say, hey, Duran, can you help this 20-year-old? Now you're in your 30s and you've made it. So I just try to, that's not passive
awesome
income.
that you've helped them. You kind of taught them, hey, you need to pay it backwards or pay it forward. I don't know if but you need to help the people that are coming up behind you do the same. And you're going to grow anytime you're teaching, helping somebody. Not to just always be about you, but you grow as a person. You're helping them grow as a person or a salesperson, and then they keep passing that down. It's such a great. It's like teaching your children or teaching somebody to fish. You come back to that, teaching them to, or your children how to cook, or somebody like that. It's going to keep going, passing through the generations. Good stuff.
And that's passive. I'd say that's passive talent accumulation. It's not making me money by any means, but it's. I kind of took your question from passive income into passive talent acquisition.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, and you just have, and that's back to relationships too. You have those relationships; they're going to remember that. And people are relationship oriented. Coming back to COVID and people being at home, like we talked about. On a computer, even us being on a Zoom, it's not the same as being across a table from one another, having the conversation, being able to see facial expressions a little better and just read that stuff. I just think we need it. And I think that was one of the big tragedies of COVID is getting, for young, not only corporate wise, business wise, but the kids in school that missed long periods of not interacting with other kids or teachers. And so, glad to see a lot of that's unwinding, but it's going to be an interesting social experiment. That was 2020. All those kids will be coming out. Like my youngest was probably in second or third grade when all that hit, seeing what their generation, when they're out as young adults, how that affected some of that age gap coming forward.
There's a good book called The Anxious Generation, a friend of mine recommended, and it talks about that and how these kids are social media wired and talk about neuroplasticity. And, they were just so young to be on Zoom. 5 years old. My daughter was 5, I believe. Yeah. That
was about 5 years ago. So she would have been 8. I've got they're all about to have birthdays, 20, 18, and 14-year-old. So
it's -5,
It was my oldest freshman year going into high school, so it really disrupted all these milestones and neat things that the school did for freshmen was all just
terrible.
Was all just wiped out on that. So it's one of those things though. It's happened, but we're trying to with our kids. Hey, we can't undo it. Let's figure out solutions. Let's fail forward, and this happened for us, not to us, but it's
like that.
But we kept our kids reading and doing stuff. I just feel for the kids whose parents may not be involved and, that almost did no school during that time period.
Couldn't help it. Some of them were having to work themselves, like hospital workers had to go, if you're a CNA or any kind of hospital worker, you're not making very much money being like a ward clerk or things like that, but you had to go to work.
Tough stuff. So as for wrapping up the interview, do you have any exciting initiatives or plans that you are having the works for the next 6 to 12 months?
I think just really focusing on Brave and trying to running a nonprofit is a tough thing, especially with funding. So we have to start looking to build more funding and awareness to continue our work. And then obviously my day job. I think I'm done with school for a while. My husband said no more school. So unless it's a yoga class, maybe, or a cooking class, which I don't know how to do. So
neat.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to stay the course and do not give up.
And you have a 10-year-old. So what's that? Second, third grade? Fourth?
She's actually just started 5th grade.
Oh, 5th. Oh, wow. I need to get
10-year-olds are sassy these days.
Oh, I know. I've got 3 daughters, so I've gone through. Yes.
Oh my goodness, you got a lot of estrogen going on in your household.
I am out, and we used to have a male dog, but he was a little Shih Tzu. He was kind of a foo-foo dog, but people, I was like, yeah, the only other male in the house is not very masculine either. So
I think you need to get a big, I don't know, lab or something.
yes,
A male.
exactly. Well,
Thanks,
awesome.
Nick.
Well, thank you so much, Christina, for joining today. I really enjoyed getting to know you.
You too.
If anybody wants to get in touch with you or learn more about your nonprofit, what's the best way to go about that?
Well, the nonprofit's website's bravecoalition.org, and there's contact information, or they can just find me on LinkedIn and connect with me, and then we'll message each other on my cell phone. Usually, once you connect to me, you can see my cell phone and email and everything.
Awesome.
No
And
problem
all
at all.
that'll be down in the description of the
Okay.
podcast. So there should be links or at least something you can copy and paste down there. Well, thank you again. I really appreciate it
you.
and getting to visit
You
with you.
all. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the Flex Forward podcast. If you've got grit, growth, and a great story, visit flexforwardpodcast.com/guest to apply and join us on the show.